Hello, this is Coach Tim Campbell, and I'm your host for Self-Made is a Myth show, making a difference, because we know that becoming successful in our business is not something that we do on our own. So we're talking to successful business owners to hear their journey of building their business. And equally important is acknowledging and recognizing the folks who have helped them on their journey to building a business and excelling. Today, I'm excited to have a fellow business owner from Minnesota with us today. My guest performed professionally as a magician, for over 10 years. So we're definitely going to want to ask about that. He enjoys riding his Harley, camping, and traveling. And he is most proud of the difference that he's able to make with business professionals to put food on their table, pay their mortgage, and send their kids to college. That is also something we're going to want to dig into and learn more about. It's my pleasure to welcome Travis to the show today. Hello, Travis.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Well, hey, let's start with having you introduce yourself. Tell us a little of your personal story, like where you were born, where you live, a little bit about your family.
Sure. Thank you. Travis Sims, born just in a little small country town in southern Indiana, Bedford, Indiana. It's really only known for one big thing, which was it's the limestone capital of the world. So like all the limestone for the monuments, the big buildings in Washington, D.C. was built out of Bedford limestone. I'm the oldest of 8, so a big family. Really, it's a community of people that hardly never left the area. I mean, everybody's there. All my siblings are still there. I'm the only one that left that area, and I've been gone for a long time. But I enjoy going back and visiting and spending time with them. And it's just been a big builder for who I've become. Coming from small town family, good work ethic, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Awesome. And how long have you lived in Minnesota area?
Yeah, I've lived in the Twin Cities area for about 6 years now. We like it here. I enjoy the summer, the spring, the summer, the fall. The winters are a little rough here, but yeah, it's a great place to live for sure.
A magician. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I got a magic set for Christmas whenever I was 7 years old, and I was just crazy about it. Just loved doing it, loved performing, and I'd set up in the living room and I'd practice, and all my siblings, would come over and I'd do a magic show for parents and grandparents and all that stuff. I used to make my own stuff, and then I just never knew I could do that for a living. And then I've owned several different businesses in my life, and I started my first business, and I was doing magic at trade shows to draw an audience over for that particular business, and then I would sell them what I had. And so people started asking, "Hey, would you do magic for this? Would you do magic for that?" And before you knew it, I was booking a ton of stuff for magic. It developed into a very big traveling show, fairs, festivals, casinos, theme parks, big illusions.
Oh, wow.
Cutting in half, Houdini escapes, all the good stuff. I was the magician for Holiday World for an entire season. I got on the Oprah Winfrey Show. I mean, I just traveled everywhere. It was a huge career. Did that for about 10 years. And then recession hit and the entertainment business took a big dive. Yes. And I got out. It seems like a whole different lifetime ago.
That is awesome. Tell us how the current business came about, and at what point did you have the confidence that you could run your own business?
Yeah, I've had the ability to start several successful businesses in my life, which has been really great. I love being able to be a contributor, and I love starting new things too. My parents actually owned a business when I was growing up. They had a lawn care and landscaping company, so I got a real education watching them grow their business. Dad out there working with men half his age in the sun, staying up all night, greasing tractors and sharpening blades. And I saw mom sitting at the table, and she was going over the books and routing the crews and sending out the invoices. So I got a real education on small business at a very early age. And, it just developed me as a person And so I jumped into several different businesses over the years.
Fantastic. So tell us about your current business.
Yeah. Well, so the answer to your question, so the recession hit, which caused the entertainment business to take a big nosedive, and so I went into networking, and I've been in the same industry now for 15 plus years in business networking, and that's what I do. And I literally networked my way out of a recession and back to solid ground. And I was in a spot where when that all that happened, I mean, I had the mega house, the beautiful cars, all the stuff, and it went quick. I mean, it went really fast. So everything from bankruptcy to lost the house, lost the wife. I mean, it was a country song. It was awful. But then yeah, and it's not necessarily that I'm a big fan of Donald Trump or anything, but he had a quote in a book about that time, and he said, if you have your mind and your body, you're able to start over and do anything you want. And so I immediately pivoted at that point, went into networking, networked my way out. And then, I really want to just help other people. I found, just like your podcast here, that you can't do this alone, and you do need to surround yourself with amazing people. And if you can do that, then you can do anything. So I help other people network to be able to, put food on the table, pay their mortgage, send their kids to college.
Fantastic. Do you want to tell a little bit more about specifically what you do and how you help people, and maybe how people can learn how to, if they would like to be part of what you're doing?
Yeah, there's all different types of networking, tons of styles when it comes to networking. Closed networks, one person per profession. There's open networks like chambers of commerce, and where there's lots of people there. You might going to run into several people that are business coaches and so on. And then there's service networking, where you're giving back to your community, Rotaries, Kiwanis, Lions Clubs, those kind of things. There's even associations. I mean, there's tons and tons of networking. And so 3 years ago, after spending 14 years in a global networking organization, where I was a high-level executive, and I got out of the closed network and saw an opportunity for an open network in a happy hour time frame. There wasn't a lot operating in that time frame, and everything I was seeing tended to be more about dark bars and the things that go with that, and I wanted to elevate the experience. So I put networking into really beautiful spaces, country clubs and golf courses, and just high-end places. Brought it just a tad earlier, so it wasn't so dark, and really put the focus on business. And then I built that around like a TED Talk type of experience. So you've got networking in the front, the TED Talk type experience in the middle, networking afterwards, and then put a whole website, profiles, connections, direct messages, and all that stuff together. The company is Accelerated Global Connections, AGC. So join agc.com if you want to go check it out.
Fantastic. Awesome. Sounds like a wonderful opportunity. I'm definitely going to check that out myself, and we'll include the link so that folks who are watching this video, you can go and learn more about that as well. So Travis, share a story with us where someone pushed you or inspired you that you could do it even though maybe you thought you couldn't, and the impact that that person had on you.
So I've written 2 books, and I got to tell you, I didn't really want to write a book. That's the absolute truth. I'm not a writer. I would never consider myself a writer. I just don't enjoy it. And my business coach, he was like, Travis, you're a leading expert in this industry, and you've got now 16, 17 years under your belt here. And don't you want to share this information with others? I said, well, yes, that's exactly what I want to do. He said, the best way to do that is a book. And it's not only going to help you do it in the present, but it will live forever.
Yeah.
And so it made sense to me. So I wrote this book, and it took me well, I started the second book that was released, The Magic of Networking. It was released about a year ago, and I started that pre the pandemic, and I was grinding away at it, and then the pandemic hit, and and then it stretched on, right? So you're like, oh, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and
Yeah.
it was a big curve. So so I put that book aside, and I started writing my first book that I released, which was called Networking in the New Normal.
Hmm.
And I just pushed it out, and I pushed it out hard, because I realized there were a ton of people like me that had done a lot of in-person networking, and all of a sudden had to isolate, had to social distance, all these things, and was left wondering how to authentically connect with others.
Right.
And so I wrote Networking in the New Normal to help people connect on LinkedIn, to help them connect using Facebook and Twitter and many other social medias, and use Zoom and technology that's available, so that you could stay in front of people. Because you can't, as a small business owner, you can't isolate. You need to insulate yourself with a strong network. And so I wrote that book. And again, my coach pushed me to do that. I didn't want to do it. It was a little painful for me. And then he gave me the second book, whenever I went back to finishing it, he gave me some of the best advice that I've ever received when it comes to authoring a book. So if you have a book in you and you want to write a book, for me, and the advice I was given, just record yourself, once a week or so, record. And I did like I was speaking to an audience, and I took a topic, and I took the PowerPoints and all that stuff, and I presented, recorded it, and then I sent it to the editors, and they put it all into a book, which was awesome. And that worked out really well. And so now I forget, there's like 30 chapters or something. And so I now have 30 presentations also that are already
Oh,
built,
yes.
ready, PowerPoints. I mean, I could talk on any one of those topics. So fantastic. So glad he pushed me that way. And it made a big difference for me.
Fantastic.
By the way, both of those books became Amazon #1 bestsellers. So that's I think it was just because of the need. There was a definite need for it.
Yeah, for sure. And again, we'll make sure to put links to that along with this video, so folks can go and check that out. Networking when the world was shut down and networking events weren't available. Huge topic and a huge benefit to people. So thank you for rushing yourself to get that out into the marketplace so people could benefit from it.
Yeah.
Travis, what would you say is the biggest learning that you've had as a business owner?
The biggest learning, I'm gonna stay to what I know, which is networking, and that is that people. I grew up hearing it's not what you know, it's who you know. My dad was just full of great advice like that. He said, son, if you could be anything in life, be on time. So he's full of stuff like this. And I grew up listening and absorbing, and I listened to that. It's not what you know, it's who you know. But I also add, it's how well they know you that makes all the difference, right? Because people don't refer business to people that they don't know, like, and trust. And so you have to develop a relationship. And it's not just developing a surface level relationship. It has to be that you see them often enough, that you touch in with them enough, that you can be a contributor to them before they start contributing back to you. And so that's, I'm going to say, a real key to success is surrounding yourself with the right people and showing up, being a contributor, being authentic, genuine to yourself, and networking for the right reasons.
Yeah, I love that. Is there a certain number of people that you recommend that you get to that know, like, and trust point with?
That's a great question. And I don't think anyone's ever asked me that question. And so I think there's probably a core of people. I have 5,000 Facebook friends. I have 7,000 LinkedIn connections and so on. But I'm not getting referrals from 5,000 people. I'm not getting connections or referrals from all those 7,000 people on LinkedIn. And probably not all of them bought my books either, I'm going to guess, right? But I'm going to say that you probably want, in today's day and age, 30 to 50 people that you're really cultivating relationships with. And that may sound like a big number, right? It might. However, they say, those sayings, you're the product of the 5 people you spend the
Yeah.
most time with.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to tell you that today that it's way bigger than that. It's actually the 50 people that you are following on social media, that are in your feed every single day, that are entering your mind. What are they sharing there, and what kind of influence are they having on you?
Yeah.
And so I want to say that 30 to 50 is going to make the difference as to how you grow exponentially for a business owner.
Yeah. And for folks who hear that number and say that I don't know how to do that, I'm assuming that doesn't mean that you're best friends with 50 people.
Correct. Yeah. And I'll say too, a lot of people come to my events. We'll host, I've got an event later tonight in Minneapolis. There'll be 100 people there. And often people will come because there's 100 people there, right? Oh my gosh, I get to meet 100 people. But it's really the 3 people that they need to be in front of, that makes the difference, right? It's not the 100, it's the 3. And it's coming in with that goals, and coming in with a plan for, who you're here to meet, how you're going to meet them, what conversation you're going to say, how you're going to take it to the next meeting. And you cultivate a little bit at a time. So you're not starting out with 30 to 50 people. When I first started in business, I mean, that wasn't there. And now I have a lot of associations and a really tight group of 30 to 50, and a very inner circle of people that I consider, my most trusted advisors.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So, Travis, we know that business success doesn't happen in isolation. Tell us about one of your biggest challenges during the years, and a fellow business owner who came alongside you, helped you get through that.
I've been fortunate enough to be surrounded by a lot of great people. And for me, it's probably been nuggets of advice, and pushing just a little bit, nudging. I had a friend in Cincinnati, Ohio, and at the time we were both franchise owners for another network organization. And because I lived in Indiana at the time, I was in Indianapolis, and he was in Cincinnati. So we're really close. And we had similar size franchises, and we were really considered pace partners for one another. I mean, like, I was checking in with him. Hey, how you doing? Where you at? What's your numbers? And he's like, oh, I just got this today, and I did that. And I was like, oh, and I got to go back at it again. So I think it's important to have that pace partner in your life that is, it's challenging you to do better. Because it's very easy to get comfortable, and comfortable creates coasting, right? I'm coasting in life. I'm coasting in my business. I'm coasting, when I'm networking, I'm just coasting. There's really only one way to coast, and that's downhill. So
Yes.
you need someone that's pushing you so that you're racing instead of coasting.
Yes. Yes. And what's that gentleman's name?
Brennan Scanlon was his name. And actually, Brennan Scanlon, he passed away just about 3 years ago now, pretty much this month. And, I'll say too that, he's a young guy like me. And I got to take a trip with him where we rode motorcycles around the Grand Canyon together, him and another guy. And we took a whole week. It was unplugged. It was awesome. And so create the successes in your life where you are able to, do the things that you really want to do. And had I not created that success, had I not had that person in my life in that moment that was pushing me to do better, I could have probably never taken that trip. And now, he's no longer with me, but those memories are there forever.
That's an awesome story. Thank you for sharing. It makes me think of, the whole idea of setting bucket list items, right? Or celebrations that you're going to achieve when, right? And then tie that to different milestones in the business. And so when I get this, then this is how I celebrate. when this milestone is achieved, this is the bucket list item that I'm going to check off. Having that motivation and that drive, right, will helps us all to work harder towards achieving those goals, because there's a positive benefit at the end, as opposed to just being a financial benefit.
Oh, Tim, that's fantastic. That is gold right there. A lot of people will create a bucket list, but they have no plan for how they're going to accomplish those things, right? So it sits out there in this thing that I want to do someday, and then someday never comes. But what you just described is like, if I'm 47, so like let's say I live to be 87, I have 40 years left.
Yeah.
40 years left to accomplish the rest of the things on my bucket list. And that's if at 87, I'm still of good mind. I still have a good physical body. So now you start looking back. It's like, okay, I need to do this within the next 5 years. I need to do this one within the next 10 years. And I need to hit the financial goals in order to do this, because it's a big one, and so on. So that's gold. I'm so glad you shared that.
And even breaking it down to weekly things. So my coach, whenever I share with her a win that I've had, the first thing she asks me is, how are you going to celebrate that? Right. So she's creating that ritual of, when you have a success, you celebrate it right away, because too many times we save it up to, well, if I get to this quarter milestone or this yearly milestone, well, no, right? Life is way too short. Like, what's the weekly or the daily milestones? Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah. And I love too that you shared you have a coach, and I know that you're an action coach, and I do coaching centered specifically around networking. And so the best coaches in the world recognize you need coaches. And I have a coach, you have a coach. That's awesome. If you're listening, go get a coach.
Well, yeah, to that point, I joke with people of, well, when they ask me, really, you have a coach? Why would you have a coach if you know all this material? And I'm like, well, I need somebody to keep raising the bar for me. And I wouldn't be, very, I wouldn't be a very good coach if I told you needed a coach, but I didn't have a coach, right? I gotta drink my own Kool-Aid. So Travis, if I ask you to pick 3 people in your business owner journey that you're grateful for being there for you to help with your growth, who are those 3 people and how'd they help you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with current times. It's been with me for about the last, I've known them longer, but they've been a real instrumental people in my life over the last 3 years. And so Amy Tyson, she's a feng shui metaphysics person, and she helps you. So I look at people that can take me from good to great, right? People that can give me the next little slight edge. And when you start reaching, big things in your life, you're like, all right, where am I going from here? And how do I get just a little bit better? And so, I seeked out Amy as a way to kind of get me grounded and balanced, and how to really look outside of the way that general people are thinking. And then Les Hill's my business coach, and I've been working with him for about 3 years now as well. And he's just one that continues to nudge me, like the books, right? The books. As soon as I finished, he's like, "All right, you got to finish the next one."
Yeah.
and this last, I was like, "Give me a little bit of break here. I just, I'm done writing for a little bit. I'll do another one, but just give me a minute." So that's good. And then I'm also going to say this, and this might surprise you too. Joshua Peters, he's a hypnotist, and he works with a lot of professionals that are also looking to just get a little bit better, just raise the bar just a little bit more. And I've been speaking and teaching, training, coaching for 17 years. And previous to that, as a magician on big stages in front of thousands of people. And I still used him in the last 3 years to take my level of communication, my level of speaking, and my closing rate up just a little bit. So think outside the box when it comes to these things. When you're considering, who are your trusted advisors, and where are you spending your time, your money, and your investment in yourself. And those are some places where I thought a little outside the box that's made a difference for me.
I love that perspective, making little improvements in a bunch of different areas. So if you think of it mathematically, if we can make a 10% improvement in 100 different areas of ourself and our business, the multiplier effect is incredible, and so much easier to make a 10% improvement in a whole bunch of areas than a 100% improvement in one area. So I love that you're looking in some non-traditional ways and exploring little tweaks and changes that you can bring to yourself and to your business. And so for folks listening, right, I encourage you to do that. Look outside of the norm. I've just recently worked with an emotional healer coach, right, and dug into my mindset and self-limiting beliefs, and wow, right, the power of having some of that junk removed is just exhilarating. And so don't be limited by what you think is normal, because that word isn't even real, right?
Well, that's good. I love that. Yes, we're all start life with those limiting beliefs. I mean, think about how, just as I have a 4 grandkids, but I've got one that's like really, really young. They're all young, but this one, and you get told no so many times from the time that you're just starting out as a baby to you're walking and starting to learn, and so you get used to getting told no, and you start realizing there's these walls and limitations on what you can do and where you can do it and how you can do it. And then as an adult, it's like you got to bust through those things. So that's good stuff. I love it.
The child analogy is awesome, right? I often share, right, how do kids learn how to walk? Right? By making 1,000 mistakes, right? But the difference is that when they're young, they're being cheered on and clapped and celebrated for failing, basically, right, until they learn how to walk. And then we become adults, and all of a sudden we get chastised for making mistakes.
Oh, that's good. Good stuff, Tim.
So Travis, as you think about the next 3 to 5 years, what are the biggest challenges that you're going to face to reach your goals, and who are the types of people that you'll need to overcome those?
Oh, thank you for asking that. So I started AGC, Accelerated Global Connections, 1 year before the pandemic hit. I had 1 year under my belt. So talk about babies. This is a baby organization, right? Now, the neat thing was I had a ton of experience in the industry. I'd been doing this a long time, but you're starting out with a brand new brand. No one knows who you are, how you're different, why they should care, any of that stuff. So that first year struggle in that first half of the year, and then it really started to pick up steam. And by the end of that first year, we had grown the organization 4 times the industry standard. It was crazy. Wow. Sold out rooms everywhere we were going, membership climbing like crazy. We held our 1-year anniversary event the first part of February of 2020. And then, next month, within 30 days, the entire world locked down. And so I'm in-person networking. And my goal coming out of that first year was to start rolling out next states, right? Next territories and areas. And so then this little pandemic thing, it was a little bit more difficult, a little bit of a hiccup. We managed to open 5 additional states during a pandemic. Wow. Okay. However, all of that was online. So doing shows just like this with that centerpiece of a TED Talk type of experience. We call them AGC Talks. And so now we got these 5 states. Now we're starting to climb, they're saying, a little bit out of the pandemic, like we're learning how to live with this new thing. Yeah. And how to navigate that. And so now it's back to the drawing board on getting some of those states in person, and because all they've known is online.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
All they've had, and then continuing to roll out. And so, and I'll say too, my approach to that, Minnesota, where I'm at, there's a little bit of rebuilding time, because even in the own state where we're the strongest, it's we had some like last year in May, we came out for a little bit. We got about from May to December, and then Omicron hit, and we had to shut back down for a few months here. Every state is so different on what you can do, what you can't do, and so on. So we were shut down again for a length of time, and then back up again. We just actually had our first in-person event again of the year, April 1st. We did manage to get 200 plus people there, but it was it's been an interesting roller coaster. But there's the challenges. I'm used to things that I can find a path for. It's like, all right, I'll roll up my sleeves and I'll do this, or I'll grab somebody else and they'll help me through this. But then you face things like a pandemic, and it's out of complete control. Like even a recession, you'll go out and knock on more doors.
Sure.
Right? Well, in a pandemic, you can't knock on doors.
Yeah.
So it's been an interesting thing, but that's been the challenges.
Yeah. Well, I love, even though we can't control the pandemic, you still pivoted, right? So a lot of folks, when the pandemic happened, right, they ducked their head in the sand and said, "Oh, we'll just wait this out for a couple of weeks," and then it turned into a couple of years. Well, you didn't, right? You went from in person to online because you had to figure out something, right?
Yeah. Well, and actually, that forced us to do things that we were not yet doing. Like we didn't yet have a Facebook community. We have a Facebook group with over 2,000 people in there, online networking. Just search Accelerated Global Connections on Facebook. You can get in there. It's open to other professionals. You don't have to be a member. And so we didn't have that community. It forced us. We were already on YouTube with all of our talks, but we invested in creating an app for Roku TV and Amazon Fire TV. Oh, yeah. And so we're now airing in both of those places. We're getting 80,000 views per episode on there. So these are writing a book, was not in my plan. Probably wouldn't have had time to do it had it not been for the pandemic. So the pandemic, yes, has created lots of challenges, but it's also in the pivot, you found ways to recreate or grow from it as a result.
And you didn't let it beat you. You pushed through and figured out, how do I make this vision still work when the environment is different than I had planned, right? And I can't change the environment. So how do I change the business model to still achieve my ultimate vision of the business?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations. A ton of learning through that. Even you could probably write a book on that.
I probably could. I don't know if I want to just yet. Don't be talking to my business coach.
So Travis, as we wrap up here, if there was something catastrophic that happened in your business, who's the first person you'd call, and what would that conversation be?
I mentioned those three people earlier. I consider my most trusted advisors. So if I'm struggling with something, or I have even if it's not a struggle, if it's an opportunity that I'm considering, something that I'm like, all right, I think I want to take it here. I will not, even though I'm the CEO, I'm the person that can make these decisions. I don't make those decisions alone. So I love your podcast here, the Self-Made Myth. It's not a thing. You have to surround yourself with other people. And so anytime a big decision or a big obstacle comes up, I call in those people, Amy Tyson, Joshua Peters, and Les Hill, and there's a couple others that I'm like really close to that I'll call in and say, hey, look, I'm considering doing this, or here's the obstacle in the way. Here's where I think I want to go. Here's where I'm kind of mapping out, but I need to get your perspective. I need to get your thoughts on this, because they may see something in that path that I haven't yet seen. So I think great leaders recognize that and pull people in to help.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And we talked earlier about, I love your change of, so Jim Rohn's quote of, the 5 people you spend the most time with, you've reframed that for us all as the 30 to 50 people. And the great thing about what you shared is it doesn't have to be in-person people, right? It can be who we're connected with and reading their social posts or books that we're reading or videos that we're watching, right? To benefit from just a broader group of folks.
I agree with that 100%. Not only the 30 to 50 people that you're following on social media, you may not have ever met them, right? So you mentioned Jim Rohn, and oh gosh, there's so many great business leaders and minds to listen to that are putting out positive content. That's what you've got to be taking in. We live in a world of negativity. That positive content needs to be top of mind, flowing through us all the time, or you'll get stuck.
Yeah. There's a saying that the way that we spend the first 59 minutes of our day will dictate our day. So if we're getting up and watching negative news and looking at all the craziness that's going on in the world, right, then the law of attraction says that whatever we think is what we attract. And so if we fill ourselves with that negativity, then we're just going to have a negative day.
It's funny you mentioned that law of attraction. When The Secret came out back years ago, that had a big impact on me. So there's some things in there that probably not everyone's going to follow or agree with or test or try. But there's some really good nuggets there. Like my vision board is right off to my left right here. I see it every day, all day long. It keeps me very on task for what I want to create and do in my life. I'm on my 8th one of those, I think, if that's right. Eight of those.
Yeah.
And it's been huge guiding thing. And actually, when I got married 2.5 years ago, my wife, we'd been together 7 years ago. Whenever I had a crazy love on my vision board, I was looking for that person that it may or may not even make sense, but you fall crazy head over heels for. The next year, our picture together went on that vision board because everything centers around us. All the other things that we want to accomplish, and we do one together every year. Some of those things are business, some of those are personal, some of those are physical. There's charity up there. There's lots of things that are on our vision board, but we keep us as the focus and the center.
I love that. Isn't it? It's interesting that. So when I was first introduced to the concept of law of attraction and manifesting, I thought it was a little foo-foo-y. But I practiced it because it's part of our coaching program. And then I started seeing it working, and I was like, oh my goodness, I need to be doing this more. So for the last 12 months, I've been in a mindset program. It's called Quality Minds. And we get together with a group of people once a week and just practice, sharpening those tools and getting better at the manifesting and the positive mindset and vision boards. And we do a mindset video, right? Similar idea, but I watch a video every morning of my stuff that I want to manifest. I wouldn't have thought it had I not given it a chance, but wow, it's so incredible.
I agree. It's been years ago now, but I used to watch The Secret with chosen people every year. Like I'd replay it and just invite them over in our home theater and watch it together. So it's been a while since I've done that. So,
and for folks who prefer to read, Think and Grow Rich is an awesome book on this same topic.
Yeah, great book.
So Travis, you've been blessed with some incredible people who have helped you along your journey. If they were all here on the show today, what would you want to say to them?
Oh my goodness. This is where I get sappy, right? So, because I care so deeply, and especially about people. So knowing that you can't do it alone. And, I'll just say that the people that I've named and some of those that are unnamed, who you are, that are just influential people I love and trust and spend time with. Thank you for being in my life. You're the product of the people you spend your time with, and I'm thankful that you're in my room and that I'm in yours, and that we can be helpful and supportive to one another. So it makes a big difference. Thank you.
Awesome. Travis, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. Appreciate you being on our show.
Thank you, Tim. It's been a great pleasure.
To everyone who tuned in, thanks for listening to the Self-Made is a Myth show with your host, Coach Tim Campsell. Be sure to help spread this movement by liking the show and posting it on your social media. To join our movement, go to bemadtogether.com. All right, folks, that's a wrap. Make sure to pay it forward, and I'll see you all next time. Take care.